Hello. Congratulations, St. Thomas More, on your anniversary. We were born the same year, 1967. I'm 50, you're 50. So it is awesome to be here to celebrate with you. May God continue to pour out his grace upon everyone in this community.
Tonight we celebrate the grace provided by the Church of St. Thomas More over the past 50 years. But the roots of our parish are several decades older. In the 1930s, at Florida State College for Women, the predecessor of FSU, students in the Newman Club, an organization for Catholic students attending non-Catholic colleges, met in the home of Dr. and Mrs. Paul Coughlin. In those days, the only Catholic parish in Tallahassee was Blessed Sacrament. Students gathered outside the church building to socialize after Mass. After World War II, a large number of veterans sought to attend college under the GI Bill. Because of this, in 1947, the Florida State College for Women was designated Florida State University and began to admit men. Catholic students at FSU continued the tradition of a Newman Club. Dr. James McDonough, an art professor, served as the moving spirit and faculty advisor for the FSU Newman Club in the 1950s. Priests from Blessed Sacrament worked with the club, which conducted masses in the student alumni room. In 1950, the former home of Dr. Edward Conradi, late president of Florida State College for Women, was purchased and converted into the first FSU Catholic Student Center. The center had a chapel and meeting rooms together with a residential suite. The modeling for the center was accomplished by Mr. Amiro, father of Father Raymond Amiro, then pastor of Blessed Sacrament. Miss Katie Pichard served as the live-in house mother from 1950 to 1954. The center was repainted and renovated by the students in 1960. And about that same time, Archbishop Hurley, Bishop of St. Augustine, decided to establish a new Catholic Student Center on a hillside overlooking FSU. However, the task was not so simple. Acquisition of the land was most challenging because owners did not want to sell to the church. The land on which Toccoa Cathedral sits was purchased over time, lot by lot. As the lots were bought, title was assigned to the bishop, but the deeds were not recorded until all lots were acquired. Highland Realty Company of Miami and Mr. Jesse Warren Esquire helped to secure the transactions. In 1963, Father Irvine Nugent, Chancellor of the Diocese, sent a set of preliminary plans to Father Patrick Madden, pastor of Blessed Sacrament. Father Madden reviewed the plans and suggested the chapel design be enlarged to a seating capacity of 900. Masses were held at Opperman Hall on FSU's campus until the new chapel was completed. Proposals continued to be reviewed, and in 1965 the diocese and the architectural firm of George W. Stickle and Associates entered into a contract to design the church. On August 3, 1965, a contract was signed with Dimitri Builders. Ground was broken on December 4, 1965. Father Madden said that the planned 96-foot bell tower would commemorate the planting of the cross of Christ in the sands of Florida by Spaniards 400 years before. The cruciform-shaped structure of the chapel was to be of modified Spanish architecture with a red-tiled gable roof. The key to its beauty would lie in the windows. Mr. Stickle noted that without the best in glass, the chapel would be very ordinary. The artist, Jean Barillet, from Paris, came personally to supervise the installation of the windows. Area residents were struck by the beauty of the windows. The first Mass at the new church was celebrated on June 4, 1967. Church was officially dedicated on October 8, 1967. In his homily at the dedication, Archbishop Hurley said, "By the formal rites of dedication, we have launched this chapel, particularly on its career of enlightenment and of hope and of goodwill. It will serve an important group of people, the university community." He continues, "For the docentes et descentes, teachers and the taught, it will be a place for the sacrifice of the Mass and for prayer. The chapel, and particularly the tower, is a thing of beauty that rises above the limitations of matter and space and time, that invites the human spirit to soar in his quest for God, he says. The first wedding celebrated at St. Thomas More after its dedication was that of Marie Hegel and Gerard D'Angeli on November 23, 1968. The first baptism, Jennifer Lee Travis on November 13, 1968. And the first confirmation, May 18, 1969. Many other weddings, baptisms, and confirmations followed. In 1968, Bishop Paul Tanner of St. Augustine raised a chapel to the status of a student parish with Father Lawrence Cunningham as the first pastor. On October 7, 1975, the Student Center was elevated to a co-cathedral within the new Diocese of Pensacola-Tallahassee. The first bishop was Rene H. Cressida. Bishop Cressida, now retired in Texas, is a member of the Greatest Generation. During World War II, he was part of a crew of a B-17 heavy bomber, flying missions over Nazi Germany, first as a tail gunner, then a flight engineer and top turret gunner. He flew 32 missions and had more than one brush with death, including one occasion when a flight of a flash shell tore into his compartment, barely missing his head. After the war, he became a Benedictine monk and also earned an architecture degree. He put his architectural training to good use when he became our bishop, as he had to deal with structural problems in his new co-cathedral and also redesign the interior. Bishop Cressida had other unusual skills that he put to use as bishop of a long diocese with 2 cathedrals. He was a pilot who owned his own airplane. He put that plane to good use and made many flights to Tallahassee. Bishop Cressida was succeeded by J. Keith Simons in 1983. During Bishop Simons' tenure, a great symposium was held on the subject of Christianity and the Renaissance. The symposium drew favorable attention by Pope John Paul II. John M. Smith was appointed bishop in 1991. He put his stamp on the co-cathedral community by inviting the Brotherhood of Hope to evangelize college students. John H. Ricard, Society of St. Joseph, became bishop in 1997. At the time he was named bishop, he was the chair of Catholic Relief Services worldwide and continued in that position. In 2012, Gregory Lawrence Parks became bishop of our diocese, serving until 2017. Bishop Parks had a finance degree from FSU, which stood him in good stead in dealing with the complexities of running a modern diocese. On May 29th of this year, it was announced that the Holy Father had appointed William A. Walk from the Congregation of Holy Cross as our next bishop. Bishop Walk celebrated Mass at his new co-cathedral for the first time at 11:45 on August 27, 2017, followed by 3 hours of standing in a receiving line, meeting and blessing his new flock, followed by celebrating his second Mass at the co-cathedral at 6 p.m. Many priests and religious have served the people of St. Thomas More over the years. I'm sure some here tonight will remember those whose names are listed here. been a number of changes to the church and its ground over the years. As you already know, if you were here before 1980, or may have noticed from the earlier photos, the interior of the church looked somewhat different when it was first built. In 1979 through 1980, the sanctuary was renovated, the altar rail removed, and the choir loft enclosed. The rectory, which had been in the parish office building, was moved in 1979 to the current site, a house that had been used by the FSU Home Management Program. House at Calderon was dedicated also in 1981. Final modifications to our co-cathedral grounds came with the closing of Virginia Street and the acquisition of the property to the east of the rectory in 2002. Under the direction of Bishop John Ricard and our rectors Monsignor Tugwell and Monsignor Crawford, Michael Pearson negotiated the agreement with FSU to acquire the lot east of the rectory and abandon a portion of West Virginia Street. Tom Jordan, architect, and Rich Buss, engineer, designed the new streetscape in Monsignor Crawford. Rich Buss and Silvia Alderman, Esquire, helped the parents secure the city's abandonment of the public street and transfer of ownership to the church. The result was a beautifully landscaped plaza between the church and Tennessee Street, and sidewalk with Stations of the Cross. Today, St. Thomas More continues its mission of grace in many ways. The Catholic Student Union carries on our church's ministry to the FSU community begun by the Newman Club. CSU provides an opportunity for students to deepen their faith life through special student masses, retreats, service programs, ice cream socials, dinners, and its famous Wednesday Spirit Night. CSU's effectiveness is shown in part by the fact that over 40 of its alumni have gone on to enter the priesthood or religious life, including our own Father Tim Halida. The Brotherhood of Hope plays an important role in campus ministry. As I've mentioned, Bishop Smith invited the Brotherhood of Hope to the diocese. Since 1994, this religious community has been evangelizing students in Tallahassee area.
Hello everybody involved with St. Thomas More. The Brotherhood of Hope has been greatly privileged and a blessing to be part of this parish since 1994 when we came. And it's been a tremendous joy and a privilege to be part of the parish, to see and be involved with what's going on. We deeply rejoice with you, all the brothers who have served here over the many years. And so we say have a great celebration. We'll be there, some of us will be there. And I'll close with saying bon appetit.
St. Thomas More is now proud to welcome the Franciscan Sisters, TOR of Penance of the Sorrowful Mother, also work with CSU and are an integral part of St. Thomas More evangelization mission. In addition to its campus ministry, there are over 35 active ministries and organizations that support all aspects of parish life at St. Thomas More. Among these are those that support the liturgy, including lectors, musicians, ushers, sacristans, extraordinary ministers, and altar servers. There are also ministries that educate and evangelize, including religious education for children, youth, and adults, help them understand our faith and prepare them for the sacraments or entry to the Catholic faith. There are those who help the poor, such as the St. Vincent de Paul Society, and our program to aid our sister parish in Haiti, St. Elizabeth. There is also the Pastoral Council, which advises the rector on many important issues. There are those who spend countless hours washing and ironing cloths and purificators, cleaning and decorating the church for Easter, Christmas, and other important events. Finally, in speaking of the people who make the parish run, I will be remiss if I didn't mention our wonderful office and support staff. A lot of work has gone into preparing for the celebration. Most of its events, such as this banquet and the parish picnic to come, will leave only memories and photos. One item, however, will last longer. As I mentioned earlier, the most striking feature of our church is its windows, especially the great window at the main entrance with the image of the risen Lord. Fortunately, over the years, some of the glass has been deteriorating, especially noticeable in the figure of Christ. In order to prepare for this anniversary celebration, we were determined to return this image to its original beauty. With God's help, we were able to raise the funds, find an artisan, and accomplish the restoration in time for this great celebration. I hope you agree that the effort was well worth it. 50 years is not a long time in human history, and to God, it's less than the blink of an eye. But to individual people, it's almost a lifetime. First babies who were baptized here are now middle-aged. Students who attended St. Thomas More when it was a student chapel are now seniors. And those beautiful couples who said their marriage vows under the loving gaze of the image of our Lord's face are now grandparents. St. Thomas More, as student chapel, parish church, and co-cathedral, has been the site of many baptisms, first communions, confirmations, weddings, a few ordinations, and not a few funerals. Our Lord said that a city on a mountaintop cannot be hidden. We pray that St. Thomas More, on its hilltop, will serve as beacon of faith for many years to come, and that just as the image in the great window was restored to its original beauty, so our Lord will someday restore us to the beauty that He originally intended. Thank you for journeying with us down the road of 50 years of grace. We hope you enjoyed this presentation of the history of St. Thomas More, not just through its building and structure, but through its evangelization. God has blessed us for the last 50 years, and we're confident that He's going to bless us for another 50 years as we come to celebrate our 100th anniversary. Until then, may God bless you.